The next elements I've got to show you are the 4 indicators for the playing cards. These are done in brick stitch using delicate beads. So they're not very big, so they grow relatively quickly and are nice ones to make. I'm going to start with the diamond and the heart because they're slightly easier shapes to show you, and then I'll move on to the spade and the club. If you've not done brick stitch before, then I would recommend you go and find our brick stitch primer video and just watch that, and you will be able to pick up the technique for increasing and decreasing a little more easily. So I've got a size 10 needle. I've got about 1 metre of Nymo D thread in black, and I'm just going to tie a keeper bead about 10 centimetres or so from the end of the thread, just to give me a little working tail to hold on to. I'm going to start with the diamond because this is the simplest of the 4 shapes. So we're going to start at the widest point, so we're going to make a foundation row that's ladder stitch, and this is 7 beads wide. So we'll pick up 2 beads and stitch those together. And then add one to the edge and back through. And that's 2. So that's 5. That's 6. And that's 7. Just getting caught around my scissors. So that's 7 beads in a row there. And now what we're going to do is we're going to start brick stitch. Now with the diamond, essentially with the diamond, every row is a decrease. Every row is 2 beads shorter. Sorry, 1 bead shorter than the row previously. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just take the needle and hook it under the thread that's between those 2 beads on the end. And then I just make a little knot there, and that'll just hold it nice and firmly at the end. So I'm going to pick up 2 beads. We always start a brick stitch row with 2 beads, and then I'm going to come under the next thread bridge along. Again, this will get easy once you've got a little bit more to hold on to. Most beadwork is very easy once you've got past the first 2 rows. So there we go. And then we pick up 1 bead and go under. And through. And oops, under. Using thread that matches the beads quite so well is brilliant, because it means you're not going to see any thread where you're not supposed to see any thread, but it does make it a little bit tricky to find the thread bridge. Oops. There's the last bead in the row. So there we go. So we've decreased from 7 to 6, and again we'll do the same thing. So come under that thread and then 2 beads to start the row. There. That's 4 and 5 and then 4 beads for this row. So again 2 for this first row and through. There's 4. So 3 more rows to go. So, and we'll decrease to 3 beads on this row. So again, pick up 2. Okay, so this is the last brick stitch row, so we're going to pick up the 2 beads and we'll go under and back up. There. Now this last bead on the row actually sits with the hole running horizontally across the work rather than all of the other beads which are sitting vertically. This is quite handy because it means you can get some wire through there, a jump ring, some a needle and thread if you want to. So it gives you options when it comes to connecting your work together. So to do this, what we're going to do is we're going to pick up a single bead and we're going to come down through the opposite bead that isn't the one that we've had the thread exiting. So we'll go down through there and then we'll just reinforce this, because if we do use this as a connection point, it's going to be a little bit vulnerable. So I'm going to go through that another twice so that there are 3 threads sitting through it all together. There we go, that's 3. And then I'm going to reposition the needle by just running all the way down through that side of the triangle that we've got there to bring us back out on the foundation row. And then if we just turn the work upside down, we can work back across, make the second half of the diamond. This is done exactly the same as the first half, so I shall finish that off and come back to you when it's ready. So as you can see, I'm just adding the final bead on the diamond here, which I'm going to add in the same way as we did at the other end. So we're going to add it with the hole sitting horizontally to everything else, And I'm just going to reinforce this a couple of times again to make sure it's nice and secure. But this time, when we finish, I'm just going to leave the thread end hanging so that when we come to make our final piece, we've got the thread there for joining if we need it. I just managed to tie a knot around my needle, so I shall just trim that end off. There's still quite a long tail there. So, okay, so what I'll do is I'll take the keeper bead off this end here. This is the tail thread, and I'm just going to sew that in because this one we won't use again. So just go through a few beads. And down and through, and then we can trim that end off. So there's our diamond finished. Now the heart is essentially, the first half of the heart is essentially the same as the diamond. So this one starts with 9 beads in the foundation row and decreases down in exactly the same way to a point at the bottom. So what I'm going to do is come back to you when I've got that bit done, and I'll just show you how to shape the top, because there's no need for you to sit and watch me do the same thing that you've just watched me do. So I shall be back with you in just a minute. So as you can see, I've now completed the triangular half of the heart shape. So I've started with 9 beads in the foundation row, and I've decreased down to a single bead at the bottom for the point. As I did on the diamond, I've reinforced that point a couple of times, so it will make a good connection. It will make a good place for a connection if I choose to later on in the design. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do the top of the heart. So I'm going to start by doing a row of brick stitch all the way across that's 8 beads wide. So again, we're going to decrease on the one end of the motif. Three. That's 4. That's 5. 6. Oops. 7. And 8. Now, the 2 lobes of the heart are made of 2 rows each with a gap in the middle. So we've got 3 and then 2 on this side, and then 3 and 2 on the other. So we do one side first. So I'm going to reposition the thread and pick up 2. And then a single bead. pick up 2. There, and then to reposition the needle, I'm going to come down through the end beads of the row just added and into the row of 8, preferably without a knot in the thread. There, and I'm going to come up this side and be in the right place to add the row of 3 beads here. So as always, start with 2, and come up there, just tweak that one so it sits flat, and add a single bead for the end of the row. And then pick up 2 beads and come under there and back through. Now, as I did with the diamond, I'm going to leave this tail thread, this working thread hanging so that I can use it to make a connection if I choose to later. And I'm just going to finish off the tail thread, the keeper bead thread, in the same way as always. So work down through a couple of beads and then in, round on yourself. And then trim off the tail. So there we go. So there's the heart motif finished. So we've got 2 hearts, 2 diamonds,